Hey, gang, how are you? Welcome to the 30. This is Patrick. I am your host, and we do this each and every week where we feature leaders, business owners, entrepreneurs, those that are doing some positive things in our community and beyond. If this is your first time, I want to welcome you to the 30, and I greet you with love. Tonight, we have a very special friend of mine, and we are going to talk business. This series starting tonight and for the whole month of March, we will be speaking with women in business, and we have some very special guests lined up starting from tonight and go through till the end of March, as I said. If you have any comments, if you want to drop us a comment, feel free to drop it in the comment field. Any questions? We have Dr. Sarah coming up, Dr. Sarah Silverstone, and I met her some years ago where we were working out at a local gym, Bert's Box. Shout out to Robbie Ortiz, who's a top trainer and coach in this area. So we are going to talk specifically, as I said, women in business. So let's get this party started. Well, as I said, we have a special guest, Dr. Sarah Silverstone, and she is the president and CEO of Brockport Research Institute. So let's bring her in now. Dr. Sarah, how are you? I think you are on mute. So if you want to take yourself off mute, that would be great. Somehow... But we're going to there we go.
All right. Now, can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Other than being on mute, I am great. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you for joining us on this cold Thursday. So as I said, you are the founder, president, and CEO of Brockport Research Institute. So tell our viewers, what is Brockport Research Institute and what do you do?
Okay, well, we are obviously a woman-owned business, and we do all kinds of work related to grants. These are state and federal and private grants, mostly to schools and colleges and some not-for-profits, so we can help write the grants. There's something called grant evaluations. If a school or a college gets a grant, they usually need to hire an outside firm to help them succeed in the grant, help them monitor the data and their progress towards reaching their goals. And so we do that. We also do a lot of teacher professional development that's usually grant funded again. So it's all kinds of work related to grants. We help find the grants, help write the grants, help implement the grants.
Great. Now, how long have you been in business?
Well, the company, I started it in 2013, but it really evolved when I was a college professor, actually here at Brockport, and before that in California. And I wrote a lot of grants to fund my own research. And so it was something I had a lot of affinity for, something I was good at and I enjoyed. And it was kind of fun to bring in the money. And so I wanted to do it for something, for a really good cause. I've always been very interested in education. And so I wrote my own evaluation services into about 7 grants. They all got funded. And I said, it's time to start hiring people because that's a lot of projects all to do all at once. So about 2014 really started growing. And just the last couple of years, things have really, really taken off. I've got a full-time director of grant writing, full-time director of grant evaluations, operations manager. We've got quite a crew here. So it's been a lot of fun.
Wow, that's awesome. And I've seen you grown over the years in terms of the business. That is tremendous. So now, how many employees do you have, or are those that are affiliated with the business?
Well, we have as actual employees, there's 7, but then we have over 40 what we call associates, and they're project-based contractors. So when we get a project, we hire somebody to work on that project, and it's great because it's very flexible work. As a woman-owned business, most of our will hire anybody who's qualified, but it turns out that most of our associates are women. A lot of them are moms. Some of them are taking care of elderly parents, or, have different situations that require a good life, life-work balance. And so we really focus on very flexible work arrangements.
Awesome. And who or what give you the inspiration, Dr. Sarah, to move forward in the business? I know that you said that you wrote some grants, and then you said it was time for you to branch out on your own. Was there any additional inspiration or individuals that you look to and says, I'm going to start my own company?
Well, there was, I guess, a friend. It was a conversation with a friend when I was really moving on beyond working at university was not really for me, and trying to decide what my next move was. And we sat down, and I remember my friend drew this little picture on a napkin, and it was like 4 pillars, and it's grant writing, grant evaluations, project management, professional development. And that was sort of the concept that stuck in my mind, to just, let's go with these 4 different services. And it was really just a lot of conversations with this friend and advisor who's really helped me over the years.
Wow, that's great. So where do you go next?
Well, I think the sky's the limit. So we started out mainly writing grants for school districts in New York State. And then, as you might know, there was the state that kind of dried up. New York State really has been challenged economically in recent years. And so we kind of switched gears a little bit and started writing grants for colleges and universities, and that's just exploded. Now it seems the state grants are coming back, so we just keep growing. In addition to that, we've started to get some grants at the state level in that New York State agencies are the recipients of grants from the federal government, large grants, very large grants. And so we're really growing to bigger grants, and we've been growing to other states as well. So we're really just growing in all different directions. One of the areas that I would like to grow more is the teacher professional development.
Okay. And what does that look like?
So we have a catalog of different courses that we offer, and they're offered by some are college faculty or experienced teachers or school leaders who have courses for teachers and school administrators that they've put together, and we really put them out there, and we vet the people. We make sure they're very high quality. We also observe and evaluate, and so vouch for the quality of these courses. But we need to get more courses, and we need to frankly get more business, more schools that know about us and that want to work with us in that capacity.
And how do you source in terms of your customers? Do they come to you, or do you go to them? Do you market and advertise the company? How do you go about securing your customers?
Well, it's really been, so for a number of years before I was doing this as a company, I was doing it as an individual, just a consultant. And over the many years, I built up a large customer base. A lot of it's repeat customers or word of mouth. We do have a newsletter that we send out quarterly. We actually have one for K-12 and another one for higher ed and another one for not-for-profit. So we have several newsletters that we send out. We have our blog and our website, but most of it is just kind of seems to be word of mouth. We do get the evaluation projects through the grant project. So we help someone write a grant and they say, we need an evaluator for our grant and we don't know anybody. And I say, well, yeah, we can do that too. And then 9 months later, the grant gets funded and we've got a 5-year project. So that's been a very successful approach.
Awesome. Good. So how many, if you were to count, how many grants would you have written since starting the business?
How many grants have we written? We keep track of certain things. We keep track of how much successful, I don't know, I'd have to say hundreds or thousands. It's hard to say. So we keep track of the amount of money that we've raised, and that's up to like $16 $50 million.
Wow.
The actual number of grants, that's a really good question because I never actually counted. And usually we have a very high success rate. If we write a grant and it doesn't get funded, I don't usually count it for anything. I don't keep track of unsuccessful grants. So that's a good question. I haven't counted.
So you look at more the ones that are
hundreds of
approved.
successful grants. I don't know about unsuccessful grants.
So you look at the successful ones and the monies that come in. So you said about $60 million.
Yeah, and this is over, about 10 years. And I do have obviously people working for me. So I'm not saying that I personally written $60 million of grants.
Sure.
BRI has. What
is the largest grant that you got successfully?
I think it was I could be not remembering this exactly right, but I'm thinking it was either a $3 or $5 million grant for it was a large Midwestern school, and it was a research university, and it was a university-wide grant. And interestingly enough, it was to promote women in STEM for equity, for actually all kinds of disadvantaged groups, but focusing a lot on women among the faculty, enabling them to become promoted and taking down barriers against promotion and tenure and academic success and career success for women and minorities. So that was a big one. It was like systemic change across the whole university. That was the point of it.
Got it. So I am talking with Dr. Sarah Silverstone, and she is the founder, president, and CEO of Brockport Research Institute. And if this is your first time on the 30, again, I want to thank you. The 30 is sponsored by C-Ray's Thought Pops, and I'll put her information up there. So Sarah, if you're ever interested in what we call the Thought Pops here, nonverbal, Cindy Ray is the person for you. So just in case you come across someone.
Yeah, that's really cool.
So let's talk now about the process of getting the grant from the beginning. Let's say it comes in. Walk it through the process.
Okay, well, we work with clients, and so a big part of what we do is actually working with the client. I mean, if you were to write a grant yourself, you'd cut out a lot of the aspect of working with the clients. But you need to really start with a schedule. You get a very tight window. You might have 8 weeks to write 60 pages. It's a lot of work, and it's very quick. So you really need to have a very tight timeline and deliverables in terms of who's doing what and when. And then generally we'll have very regular meetings with the team to make sure everybody's on track. And then to get started, we'll just kind of outline. So a grant comes with a request for proposals, like an application. Mm-hmm. And we'll use that application to outline exactly what is required. So we'll just kind of write it out as use the instructions as headers for what we're writing to organize it, basically. So we'll write so we start with an outline, and then we just start filling things in based on what the client told us. So they usually give us a kind of a data dump. If they're a college, they might have a certain number of students. They might have different demographics, certain ethnic and economic situations, people that could really use a hand up. And so they'll talk about the numbers of people that are disadvantaged, because a lot of these grants, really the focus seems to be on helping those who are disadvantaged, helping them get an education. So they'll give us data about, test scores and dropout rate, all kinds of things. We'll make tables, and, we turn it into a story. And it usually starts with the need. That's usually the first section of a grant, is why is this necessary? And then the plan, so what are we going to do about it? What are our objectives and our goals? How are we going to meet them? How are we going to evaluate them? How are we going to know whether we've met our objectives and our goals? And then finally, the personnel, who's going to do this and demonstrate that they're qualified. And then a lot of times there's a section on sustainability. Once the grant ends, because these grants tend to be between 1 and 5 year grants, and then the money's gone, how are you going to sustain that effort? And so you have to really take all the data and all the information, all the ideas, and just tell a compelling story, organize it with a set of objectives and goals, and just kind of put it all together really fast. And then 8 weeks later, submit it and don't make any mistakes. There you go.
So how many people normally work on a grant that comes in?
Well, it depends. So at BRI, we usually will have at least 3 people. We'll at least usually have a lead writer,
Okay.
A reviewer who will kind of be a second set of eyes, because when you've looked at something you're writing, day after day, you can miss things. And then an editor, kind of a final look through person. So 3 sets of eyes. But we actually usually use another individual because of our structure. We'll have the lead writer will often be like a trainee or a less experienced writer who wants to learn, and then a mentor, a very experienced writer who's going to ensure the quality and teach the person, on the job. So we work with teams. And then for the client, they usually have a team as well. They'll have their principal investigator or their leader of their team, and then they'll have different people who play different roles. So there can be up to 7 or 8 sometimes as few as 3.
Okay, good. Now, I read and I saw that BRI is one of the 4 finalists for the Athena Awards. So tell us about that. You must be pretty excited and pumped about that.
It was very exciting. So my staff had organized, I didn't have anything to do with it. They organized this nomination process in which they gathered testimonials and wrote things, about what we've accomplished and everything. And I think it was really based on just our structure. As I said, I almost modeled my professional history really is focused on academia. So I've spent most of my professional life as a college professor. And the business is organized somewhat like a college in the sense that, as I said, we take less experienced people, which I liken to like a grad student. So these are, very talented people with tremendous potential, but they're young and relatively inexperienced. And then more experienced people to work with them. So they can take the lead, but they've, someone's got their back. So we have mentors and we have leaders. And so we kind of have this structure where everybody's always learning and growing. And as I said, most of our associates are women. Many of them, we actually started, you asked me this earlier and I forgot, but let me go back.
Okay.
When I got too much work for one person, I reached out to, at the time, my children were younger and I was an active member of the Moms Club of Brockport, which is it's a port group for stay-at-home moms. And so I knew that some of these women were so talented. They had written, they had a newsletter, but it was very professional. And they had a book reading club that was organized. They had babysitting groups. They had so many things going on. And all these women were just organizing these things. And it was, they were all volunteers. They were all stay-at-home moms, just a support group. But it was so thorough and so professional. And there were some great writers. And I just reached out to that group, to individuals that I knew in that group, and said, the newsletter you've been writing is just amazing. Would you like to come and try your hand at grant writing? And so that's really how it all started. So even today, many of our associates are either stay-at-home moms. Some of them are working moms. Some of them are college professors with, families, parents that they're taking care of. All kinds of different situations. So that was kind of something that the folks who nominated me wrote about, that's a little bit unique, that we really honestly balance the work. We really respect the work-life balance in everything we do. And we are always teaching and training. We'll take people who have potential rather than people who necessarily have a traditional career trajectory where they've shown, they've risen to a certain level in their profession and now they're ready for the next step. No, we'll take people who've maybe been out of the workforce for years, but they can demonstrate to us that they have that potential, we'll teach them.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So I know the Athena Awards is a prestigious award here in Rochester. So you are one of the 4 finalists. When do you find out when you win? Because I'm pulling for you to
There's a
win this
big award ceremony, and they're doing it a little different this year. They're providing sort of online access, and you can sort of attend. They're actually delivering dinner, so you can kind of have your own award dinner at your home if you want to watch it and participate and have a special dinner and support the effort. So it's exciting. I'm very excited.
That's awesome. So I can say I knew you win.
When we were lifting, because you're going places, Patrick.
When we were lifting at Bert's Boss, right? And
yeah, that was a great thing. That was a great.
Shout out to Robbie again.
I'm just going to mention this other thing that came out of that very indirectly, because I never really was that athletic till I joined Bert's Box. But when COVID hit, I started working out with friends, and a lot of them, again, they're the same people I work with. We work together, and we work out on Zoom in the morning and in the evenings. We just, work out together on Zoom, and it's pretty fun.
That's awesome. So, Dr. Sarah, let's say someone would like to start their business, a female. What are some of the recommendations you can give them just starting out? Have a dream, want to open up their business, but don't know how, or there is a barrier or fear. What advice can you give them?
Well, I would definitely have them seek a mentor, and it doesn't have to be that one perfect person that's going to guide them in all things. Maybe they have conversations with successful business people that they know who can, give them different insights, and hopefully they can find an affinity with some people that will help them on an ongoing basis. But there's also volunteer organizations like SCORE that can provide guidance. There's so much guidance out there. So I don't think they should try to go it alone and reinvent the wheel. They really, I think that if you called on particularly women business owners, they would probably want to help others and mentor them and, help them along. So I think it's really important to reach out, not to be afraid to reach out and ask for help, because it can really push you forward much more efficiently than trying to figure everything out yourself.
Okay. All right. Now, would you advise them to get started in this economy or in this pandemic?
I think the pandemic provides some opportunities, especially, if people are kind of stuck at home, you've got a unique opportunity to learn something new or try something new, or you can sit and look at YouTube videos all day long, or you can say, I'm going to learn something about business, and I'm going to teach myself, and I'm going to put together a business plan. Now, I'm not a huge proponent of the formal business plan. I know that's mostly, depends on the type of business. If you need a bank loan, then you need a business plan. But my business plan was always in my head. It was always more informal. So it just really depends. If it's more of a service business, you might be able to be creative. You might, there's sort of a traditional type of business where you go and you get a massive loan and you hire a bunch of full-time people and you're taking a huge risk. For my business, I never really took an economic risk. Everything was project-based. So the only time I ever committed to pay a person was when I had a project or a contract in hand that enabled me to pay them. So there was never any chance of hiring a person and having to fire them. There was never that risk. So that's a little unusual. And I'm proud that I was able to do that, but you can't do a restaurant like that. So it really depends on the type of business.
On the type of business. Good. Well, as we end, we're about to wrap up here. Let's talk about, I always do this with our guests in terms of what we call the rapid response. So I'm going to ask you a couple of questions, and I want you to respond as quick as you can. Don't even think about it.
All right.
Ready to go?
I'm ready.
All right. The last book that you've read.
It's called The Elusive Obvious. I actually have it sitting next to me. It's about nonverbal communication.
Oh, very nice. Okay, great. Your favorite food?
Eggplant.
Oh,
Eggplant. Okay.
What can I say? I like eggplant.
All right. Your favorite movie?
50 First Dates.
Huh. And who's in that one?
It's Adam Sandler, and I don't like it because it's Adam Sandler. I like it because it's so sweet. He falls in love with the same woman, or she falls in love with him. She has amnesia, and it's almost like Groundhog Day, except he makes her fall in love with him every day.
Okay. And let's see, pop or soda?
Soda.
Soda. Okay. Your favorite place to vacation?
Ooh, well, I don't know if it's really true, but Florida is where I always go. That's where my mom is.
Okay.
I like the beach.
Great. Last words, as we end, what final words would you like to give to our audience?
I'd like to say, with respect to COVID and lockdown and not being able to hug people and not being able to go outside with a mask, there's light at the end of the tunnel. It's coming really soon. Stay safe and get vaccinated.
All right. Dr. Sarah, you are off the hot seat. I want to thank you so very much. I know that you're going to win the Athena Award, so I'm excited for you. I'm going to be pulling and I'm going to be cheering for you. So thank you so much. Thank you for all that you do in the community, and much success for BRI.
Well, thank you, Patrick. Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure speaking with you. Awesome.
Good. All right. We have been speaking with Dr. Sarah Silverstone. She is the founder, president, and CEO of Brockport Research Institute, BRI, and they are doing some tremendous things in our community and beyond. So this is the 30. I want to thank you once again. For those of you that if this is your first time, make sure that you return next week, because we will have another mover and shaker as we highlight women in business for this month of March. I just want to remind you, just a quick reminder, our Lunch and Learn takes place each and every other Tuesday. So if you want to join us, and this is open for leaders, professionals, business owners, entrepreneurs, this is an opportunity to come together virtually and have the common purpose of connection, development, and inspiration. So reserve your spot. You can go to jackmangrouplllc.com/subscribe, and it is every other Tuesday. So the next one will be Tuesday the 16th, and it's only from 12 to 1. So make sure that you subscribe and join us, and we are going to have a blast. I have a surprise coming up on the 16th, so make sure that you are there. Well, that is it for now. I want to thank you once again for joining us. I want to thank Dr. Sarah, and for all of you, thank you. Thank you to Cindy Ray of C Ray's Thought Pops, who is our show sponsor. Thank her for all that she does. So if you ever want to have some fun with nonverbal, with some thought pops, make sure that you see Cindy Ray. We're going to put her information up shortly. So thank her so very much. Until next week, be safe, wash your hands, wear a mask, and social distance. May God bless you and your family. We'll see you here next week.